Well, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to another Ignite Press book launch livecast. Today, I am excited to introduce you to Randye Kaye. Randye Kaye, beyond being a phenomenal person and a great vocal talent, by the way, is also now the author of the book Happier Made Simple. Change your words, change your life. I'm going to bring Randye on here. But before I do it, I want to let you know that this great book is available right now on Amazon. It is 99 cents for the Kindle version. That's a launch day special. And I would very much encourage you to go pick up your copy because this is what we're going to be talking about today. So let's bring Randye in. Randye, there you are. How are you doing?
I'm great, Everett. How are you? So exciting.
This is a big day. This is a really exciting day. So today we're going to talk about this, but first I want to talk about you.
Okay.
I want you to tell us a bit of your story. Like, where do you come from? How'd you get here where you're publishing this wonderful book on Amazon?
Whoa, that's a question that could take a half an hour to answer. I am what is sometimes termed a multi-potentialite, meaning I've had a lot of different careers and done a lot of different things, and including being a mom and a grandmother. But the red thread that ties it all together is words. It's the power of words. It's the use of words. So I'm an actor, a stage actor, an improv actor, an author, a speaker, a voice talent, an audiobook narrator. I've been a director and a playwright and a communications professor and a whole bunch of other things, and raised 2 children. And now I'm the proud Grammy to 3 little preschoolers. And it's all about life balance. And I have written one other book, because probably the biggest challenge in my life was when one of my children got ill with a very severe mental illness called schizophrenia. So I wrote a book 10 years ago about that called Ben Behind His Voices. And ever since that book, people, when I speak about our family situation and how we're handling it and our, what we're doing, they say, how do you stay so positive? And so I began to develop a program, because I do run workshops, and people are like, well, you should write a book about that. And that's how I got here to this. So,
Wow. Okay. Now that was impressive. You covered a lot of ground in a
quick.
very short period of time. You really are the true Renaissance woman here. When you just run through all the things you've done and balancing raising children. And now, did you say there's toddlers in the home?
Well, not in my home, but 3 miles away. So they, definitely
Grandchildren?
my entire dining room is full of toys. And every toy that I save from my kids' childhood is getting double duty now. And it's a delight because they live only 3 miles away. So
what an incredible blessing.
Thank you.
You are wealthy indeed in my book. So it's interesting you talk about the struggles that you guys went through with your child, and obviously it's germane to the topic today because you've decided to write a book about happiness. And I mean, that's a tough topic, right? Everybody has a different idea about what happiness is or what the proper journey should be on the road to happiness, or different perspectives. How do you come at that? I mean, that's how do you define happiness in your book or in your life?
Okay, very good question. And the subject of being happy in life is not new. It's one of the first things I say. You go back to Aristotle, you go back to the Bible, you go back to any thought about the human experience, and people wonder about being happy. And I deliberately called the book Happier Made Simple, not Happiness, because I do not believe the goal is to be happy 100% of the time. Not only would that be boring, but it would rob us of the entire human experience. What I do believe is that sometimes we can make things worse by just wallowing in things like anxiety and self-pity when it isn't always necessary. And I found in the course, and we've all had things happen to us, I found in the course of getting through life in a happier state of mind, that self-talk was very important. Not so much what happens to us, although that does matter, but how we react to what happens to us, what we tell ourselves about what happens to us. And I ended up boiling it down to a framework that people could understand, 7 core phrases that kind of sum up what I tell myself to get myself through difficult times or to enhance good times. It's the story we tell ourselves about what happens to us. And I wanted to write a book that didn't require meditation, yoga, both of which I have failed at, or forgetting what the book said at the end. So I framed it around these 7 core phrases, not to be happy all the time. It's a deliberate use of happier, but to just be happier and not use anxiety when it's unproductive, and how to know the difference.
I'm glad you clarified that, because I think that a lot of people feel under pressure to be, quote, happy all the time. That if they can't be happy all the time, there's something wrong with them.
Yeah, there's a term for that. It's called toxic positivity.
Toxic positivity.
Yep, I
Okay,
mentioned that in the book, yes. It's just like,
that's terrific.
sometimes we just have to be, I had a situation this morning sending out emails, and I forgot to BCC some people, and I CC'd them, and some of them were mad at me. And I'm like, it's my launch day. Nobody should be mad at me. And they said, you know what? They have a right to be. I made a mistake, and I had to sort of forgive myself. And you have to go to the negative places and process it, so that you can then say, all right, I have accepted those feelings. And then you can move ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, on that kind of on that note, I think about people feeling that pressure. Society, is so full of this, right? It's like, especially Instagram. We have all, this. Everyone wants to post their Instagram perfect life, and so they don't. Of course, they're not posting pictures of when they're having an argument with their spouse, or they're ready to
I'd like to see that.
throw their kids out a window or something, right? They're instead they're posting, when they've got their latte, or they're on the beach in some exotic place. And so everyone just posts this little sliver of their life that just stands out as somehow this symbol of happiness. And so appreciate the fact that you are, not that people need permission, but sometimes they need to hear that they have permission to not be happy all the time. And like you said, if you're happy all the time, I guess you really wouldn't know it, right? You'd have nothing to contrast it with.
Exactly. Life is contrast. I talk about that at the very beginning of the book. Right off the bat, I talk about the 7 core phrases in case somebody just wants to know, okay, what's the point? Tell me the point, and I'll tell you if I'm going to read the book. But then
let's go ahead.
Okay, well, but then I do have these disclaimers. I'm not claiming you're going to be happy all the time, but you might sleep a little bit better if you know what to tell yourself to get through the night. Did you want me to talk about the 7 core phrases?
Absolutely.
Sounded like, okay, so I will take out my handy dandy mug, which I made to remind myself of it. And so what I did, because I listened to a couple of self-growth books myself in the last few months, and I love them. And I also kind of forgot what they said. So I decided to make a framework that when I did workshops, people would ask for a printout and carry it with them. 7 core concepts that spell out breathe. And I know you can't see this, but anyway, breathe are 7 core areas, and they each have a phrase. So be in breathe, which by the way is important, is for being. And again, I didn't make any of this up. I just framed it differently. And the phrase I tell myself is be here now. That could be like right now, just be here now. They're sawing down trees outside. I could be worried that they might make a lot of noise, but you know what? They're not doing it right now. So I'm just going to be here now. This gives you patience. It's mindfulness. You've heard it before, but that's a phrase I must use 10 times a day to bring myself back down to earth. R for reality. That's when things aren't going so great, and just it is what it is. This is the phrase that really helped get me through the many, many shocks from having a child with an illness. E for engagement. This is really important in the time of COVID. And the phrase I remind myself of is we're all connected. boy, never was that clearer than when we ran out of toilet paper when COVID first hit. We are all connected. You bite into an apple, somebody grew it, somebody figured out how to grow it, somebody transported it to your supermarket. So remembering that we're not alone. We need each other. A, for appreciation, just saying this is good. Like right now, I'm loving this moment and talking to you and knowing that with your partnership, we're meeting our goals and you can savor it and just say, this is good. What a beautiful sunset. Man, this cookie is delicious. Or I don't love the fact that I got a flat tire, but this could be good. Let me think about it. What could be good about this? And eventually the answer will come. And that's called reframing. The T is for trust. All will be well. That's kind of trust in the big picture. H is for humor. Oh, I forgot to mention that I've been a radio personality for many years. I did a morning show. I did PM Drive. I'm now on an NPR affiliate. And, when I was doing the morning show, your life is an open book, and anything ridiculous that happens to you was not worth stressing about for long because it was going to be a really funny story the next morning. And so humor has gotten me through so many things. And humor starts with curiosity. So that phrase is, isn't that interesting? Instead of, isn't that terrible? Or isn't that awful? Or they shouldn't do that. So isn't that interesting is for humor. And the last one, the last E in esteem is esteem. Breathe. Esteem. Whatever happens, I'll handle it somehow.
Wow.
I actually use, and these are all phrases to tell yourself not to give unneeded advice to someone else, because that's annoying. But occasionally with people close to me, if they ask me to, I will help them through it. My son was really stressed about something the other day, and I told him how I was going to handle it. And I just said, repeat after me, but with humor. Whatever happens. And he said, whatever happens. I said, we'll handle it. And you know what? I could feel him calm down. But that's something to tell yourself, because it doesn't say everything's going to work out the way you expect. It just says, you've handled stuff before. You'll handle this. Somehow you'll handle it. So trust is kind of trust in the universe, and esteem is trust in yourself. So those are the 7 core phrases that are the first 7 chapters.
Okay. You handled that terrifically, by the way. So I was thinking about the first B that you said for being.
Mm-hmm.
And it just occurs to me that, and I struggle with this myself, so I know others do too, that a lot of times we get so wrapped up like in 2 weeks, I'm going to go do this amazing thing. It's going to be great. Maybe I'm getting together with a family, or we're going on a vacation, or we're going to do this amazing thing in 2 weeks. And if I'm not careful, I can fail to be here now, because I'm so focused on what a great time we're going to have in 2 weeks that I might be missing what a wonderful time I'm having with my wife tonight, or something like that, because I'm looking at that thing. And then a lot of times I get so excited about getting to that spot, and then I finally get to that spot and I'm already thinking about the next thing instead of being there now. So I think it's a great reinforcement.
Thank you. Much has been written about mindfulness. I am not the first. I bust a couple of myths for myself and hopefully for the reader as well, because again, it's a spectrum. If we were in the moment every minute of every day, we would never plan a vacation. We would also never fondly look back on memories. So what can ruin, and look, when I'm having a root canal, I don't want to be here now. Seriously. I want to be somewhere else, So part of being here now is choosing if you're going to go to the past or anticipate something in the future, which is a wonderful way to spend a moment. If you're going to do that, choose the way you do that, because you can look to the future with anxiety. Oh my gosh, what if it rains on our vacation? That's not a good use of your moment. But I'm so excited. We're going to go to Disney World. That is a good use of your moment. So if you're going to look ahead, and looking forward to something is one of the secrets of being happier, because even if it doesn't turn out exactly the way you pictured it, at least you got to have anticipation, which is cool. So if you're looking forward, look forward to things you're looking forward to. Make plans to go to graduate school. Book the bed and breakfast. Like looking ahead can be very helpful, but looking ahead with anxiety, unless it's going to help you take a step to prevent disaster, that can ruin your moment.
Okay.
Looking back, we can choose happier memories to look back on, and that can make our current moment better. So it's not about be here, I think we all need more mindfulness, but part of that is choosing how we approach our future and our past.
Well, that's excellent. All right. So I have a couple questions have come in for you.
Okay.
So let me see here. Malia asks, and I've got to think, I think I know the answer to this. She asks, which phrase is your favorite from the 7 core phrases?
Well, I don't have a favorite. That's why there's 7 of them. I have to say it depends on the situation. However, if I had to pick one,
If forced.
if forced into it, I would probably say, isn't that interesting? Because I truly believe we can all be happier if we stop judging each other and stop judging ourselves.
So by
As
this,
we're
you're referring to the H in for
the
humor.
H in humor,
The
because
question you ask yourself in relation.
yeah, if you go, isn't that awful? You go, well, isn't that interesting to yourself? You don't want to put anyone else down or discount their pain, but gee, that guy cut me off in traffic. Isn't that interesting? And that can, every time you use a phrase, it associates, it bridges to other thoughts or feelings or actions. So if someone cuts me off in traffic and I say, that idiot, which does pop into my head, I'm human, and I go, just wait a minute. And it doesn't have to be those words. Isn't that interesting? It could be, I wonder why he did that. And I'm going to make up some story like, oh, maybe he has a baby in the back seat and the baby was coughing. And suddenly I have more empathy for that person. Or I pulled out of my garage a few months ago and I forgot to open the garage door before I did that. And that could have totally ruined, I was stuck until they came to rescue me. So, but from years of morning radio, what I've learned to eventually say is, this is going to be a really funny story on the radio tomorrow. And so that training has helped me to laugh sooner. I mean, I laughed at my own idiocy. I can't believe I did that. And when I tell my baby grandchildren about that, they're like 4.5 and 6 and 3.5. So the middle one loves the fact that I made a huge mistake like that. And every time we get in the car, she's like, Grandma, remember to open the door. She loves that I'm fallible and that I made mistakes. So when I learned to say, isn't that interesting? It kind of unsnaps my judgment. And when you unsnap judgment, you can definitely live happier.
Yep. I loved Chris's comment here. She says, I always attribute slow drivers with the possibility that they're transporting a wedding cake.
I like that. That's a very good, I'm going to steal that from you, Chris. Thank you.
That's actually really good because you know what? Thank you, Chris, because when I get behind a slow driver, I'm like, what is their problem? Come on. Don't you know? Blah, blah, blah. But if I thought for the moment that, yes, they were transporting someone with a wedding cake,
right,
or they've got a bunch of china in their car, like grandmother's china that they're transporting, and they're just trying to be so careful with it, or whatever, that's good. And the isn't that interesting is great because it does open you to different possibilities. Like that person cut you off. Isn't that interesting? Maybe they didn't see me, or like you said, they're distracted with the baby in the seat, or they're on the way to the hospital, or whatever.
And you know what? Even if it's not true, if I make up a better story about why they did that, then it saves me. I even just now, I just like, okay, you know what? They're a person. Passing construction on the highway, I've learned to say to myself, thank you for fixing our roads, instead of what are they doing here in the middle of rush hour? We make ourselves crazy when we judge. And it's a temporary dopamine fix or something to make us feel superior. I don't know. But snap judgment is the opposite of empathy. And you just don't know what someone else is going through. And going back to what you said about social media and Instagram, it's kind of the opposite. We're only seeing what actors call their sizzle reel, or,
That's
their,
right.
you're not seeing the everyday. You're not seeing, if I put something, obviously I've been posting a lot now, please buy my book. So maybe that's a little bit different, but generally if I put something, I'm going to put something up where I was stupid, or I just think this is hilarious, or I'm bragging about somebody else, because that's not bragging about me. But, before social media, we all used to joke about Christmas cards and letters with the family letter, and you'd read it and you'd just feel awful about your life
Because
because
their
they're
life is perfect,
Susie's
judging
in
by the letter.
Yale, and their marriage is perfect. Well, now we are subject to that 24/7. We open anything and everybody's happy and they're wearing beautiful outfits and they want to be an influencer. And let's not even get started about reality shows. So we are bombarded every day with images of other people's microcosm, carefully chosen images of their life. And after I finish with the 7 core phrases in my book, I do have 3 bonus chapters, and one of them is called I'm Not Buying That. It's about comparison and marketing, and asking yourself, when you see a commercial or you see somebody else's Instagram post, are you buying that? Is that really true? Their version that they're presenting to you of what their life is. We're all human beings trying to figure it out. There should be no pedestals. And social media and celebrity culture, we put people on pedestals, and they're just human beings. I'm a human being, you're a human being. So snap judgment, even if it's positive. Oh, they're so amazing. They're just people.
Yeah.
So, when we're all in this together.
Well, if you're watching or listening to this, you realize by now that there's a lot of wisdom that Randye brings, and it is included in her book, in Happier Made Simple. So I would encourage you to pick it up on Amazon today. And in fact, you can grab the Kindle version for 99 cents if you want. The paperback is also available. But that is a launch day special. The Kindle price will be going up shortly. So definitely get your copy today. So Randye, a couple more questions have come in. And so, in fact, actually, Chris had I think, a really good one. She says, your book suggests that these core phrases can help you sleep better. My daughter struggles with anxiety and sleep. Do you have some case examples of how this has helped people with sleep, or advice that you might share?
I'm not a scientist. My case examples are me and my family. And friends that I've said, try this. I'm not a sleep expert. I will tell you some things that have helped me. Number 1, I don't have screens in my bedroom. There is a lot of research. And by the way, in every chapter, I'm not a scientist, but I do include some sort of scientific study after the stories for those that are, need that left brain, just the facts. So I admire you and acknowledge you, and I put those stories in there. A lot of times what happens when we wake up or can't go to sleep is our brain is bored and has nothing to do. And if it starts digging that hole into, oh my God, what if this happens? What if that happens? Then that keeps us awake. And so 2 things help me. One is just breathing, and all will be well. I keep saying it to myself with each breath until I believe it. And whatever happens, I'll handle it somehow is the one that really helps me, because it doesn't suggest that nothing bad will ever happen. It suggests that I'm strong and I'm brave, and so are you, and you will handle it, and you've handled things before. I also do a trick I learned a million years ago, which is giving my brain a task to do until it gets so bored it falls asleep, and it never fails. It's similar to counting sheep, but it has to do with drawing a circle, putting the number in the circle, erasing the number, and then saying, breathe. I've never gotten below 81. And then you go backwards and you keep doing it. So it's sometimes giving your brain something else to do. You can't say to the brain, don't be anxious. You have to give it something else to do. When all else fails, I get up and read a book, and then I get tired and go back to sleep. I don't know if that's helpful at all, but those are some things that help. Anxiety just know the difference between productive anxiety, which is, I'm afraid the house will burn down, I better change the batteries in the smoke detector, versus I'm afraid the house will burn down, even though I've done everything I can do and I've blown out the candles and, the doors are locked. Then you're in unproductive anxiety. And to know the difference, that's when you can say, whatever happens, I'll handle it somehow, or the serenity prayer.
Okay. I think those are all very, very practical. And it is interesting. You're right. It's like your mind has less to pay attention to. So
It
it's
goes
no longer
everywhere.
distracted. So it goes to places many
Yeah.
times you don't want it to go.
Mm-hmm.
I know, and it's funny. I have caught myself at times. I'll lay down and my mind, I'll almost be looking for things to worry about, which is like, wait, why is that happening? No, stop that. Shut that off.
See, there you are talking to yourself. And if you can just step outside of yourself a second and go, oh, I know what that is. That's me just doing that thing that I do when I can't go to sleep.
There you go.
Oh, my cute little brain. Because a corollary to isn't that interesting is, isn't that adorable? Oh, look at me. I said I wouldn't eat that wheat thins, but it's just like if we
I'm going to start saying that about myself more. I've never actually said to myself, oh, isn't that adorable? But that's going to be part of my new self-talk, Randye.
It works for me because we're just little babies inside adult bodies. So,
By the way, one piece, and you brought it up, is that you'll read, if you can't get back to sleep. I remember Tim Ferriss in the 4-Hour Work Week. One of the things he had said is read fiction before you go to bed, never nonfiction. Read fiction. And I gather it's because you really are putting yourself into the story of somebody else. It's some other world. It's completely removed from you. And so your mind is thinking about that kind of stuff rather than what's happening necessarily in your life.
That's a very good point. And that's why I don't usually read nonfiction before bed, because it makes my brain go, oh, I have to do something about that. I have to take a note about that. I have
to put that on my to-do list.
To put that on my to-do list. So I don't read magazines for that reason, because even like, I wouldn't recommend this as before beds. Well, maybe because it's funny. So maybe it'll help. And there's stories if you want to read the stories, but I'm just saying, yes, anything that makes me feel I have to get up and do something right away doesn't put me to sleep. It's generally fiction. And if it's a magazine, it's an entertainment magazine. It's about what's on TV. It's not O Magazine or any of those self-help things, because it makes me feel like I want to spring into action, and 11 p.m. is not a good time to do that.
Rough. I think the other part is our minds are so active, so they're processing things differently. And that's when, of course, oh my gosh, I need to change the whatever, the batteries in the smoke detector, or I forgot to send this email, or I forgot to do whatever. And I know that others have talked about it. It's like, well, rather than just try to go to sleep, go ahead and write those things down so that they're off your brain and they're onto paper, so the paper will remember it and you're not worried about whether you're going to forget it.
Agreed. Writing stuff down clears your brain. Absolutely. Yeah.
So, what are your plans for the book? And I apologize, I didn't prepare you for really any of these questions, but that is my way. What are your plans for the book? What do you want to see it accomplish for people?
I want people to have fun reading it. Did you know research shows that most of us read a chapter and a half of a self-help book and put it back on the shelf? So I wrote it to be a book that people would want to finish because it's full of stories and it's an easy read. That's what people have told me. And I want readers to leave it with actionable steps and feel the same way that some of my workshop participants have been, like you and I just did, where you get, oh, isn't that adorable? Something that can lift you through the day and get you past and smooth out the ups and downs. I hope the book, I want to sell 100,000 copies. I'll say it. I'm putting it out to the universe. I'm going to sell 100,000 copies. And I want to be able to help people with these words and travel internationally and have it translated into other languages and just speak to other human beings of all cultures about how we can treat each other better and treat ourselves with more kindness and have less anxiety in the world and less judgment for each other. I would like it to have an impact on individual lives and on empathy and relationships. That's my dream for the book. So, Oprah, if you're listening, I'd love to come on the OWN channel and be interviewed by you and tell funny stories.
I tell you, Randy, thanks so much. And I love the way you're just kind of outing yourself as far as your goals, your plans, and the impact that you want your book to have. Your book is delightful. You are delightful, and we wish you every success. So I am going to plug your book one last time, and then I'm going to let everybody go. So let's do that. Again, the book is available. Happier Made Simple is on Amazon today. You can pick that book up there for 99 cents on the Kindle version. If you know others that would benefit from this book, this is a terrific gift. And I know that phrase gets overused a lot, but really this is a terrific gift. It is fun. It is light, but yet impactful. And I don't think, let's just say, if you give it to people, you're not going to get any negative feedback on it. People will absolutely thank you for it. So I really encourage that. So thank you again for joining us on our book launch livecast. And if you have a book in your heart or a book in your brain that you want to get out to the world, and particularly if you've thought ever about a book to ignite your business that you can use within your business and brand, and to impact the world at the same time, please reach out to us. You can find us at ignitepress.us, and you can actually schedule a complimentary consultation directly with me. So please take advantage of that opportunity. Thank you so much.